everybody, this is Sarah Scopic, and you're watching Traffic Musings. So, I managed to get out of the horrible traffic on the other highway, and now I'm in more traffic. That was a little weird. I apologize for I don't understand why a demon just suddenly strangled my voice, but it did. Woo! Okay, but so far we're doing okay here. Slay sexism. Sounds good to me. Remember how we talked about that other time about the chain link fence where they're sticking styrofoam cups? Yes, there's a new one now. It's slay sexism. John, I'm all for it. Why? Stop sexism. Sexism's bad. Just stop it already. Gosh, people, just let it go. Goodness gravy. Gosh, what am I gonna talk about today? Hum. I guess I'll talk about video games for a little bit. Everyone likes video games. I guess not everyone likes video games. I've met people who don't like video games, but those people are just wrong, so whatever, I'm talk about them. So I'm going to talk to you my favorite video game series, which is, I'm a huge fan of Call of Duty. I couldn't even say that with a straight face, oh my gosh. No, not at all. Not bashing people who like Call of Duty, it's just... No, not my style. I am like on the opposite spectrum. I prefer... I like my video games like I like my books. Lots of words. I prefer more like adventure, story-oriented mystery games, especially. I used to be a huge fan of like click-and-point adventures. Not that I played a lot of them, but I used to be a huge one. So anyway, drum roll please, for those who don't already know, my favorite game series is the Ace Attorney series. Most people who are watching this probably already know what the Ace Attorney series is. If you don't, you need to find it right now. It's super good. It's kind of a mix of point-and-click with visual novel elements with just plain silliness and mystery. You play a lawyer that solves crime. Kind of. You're defending your client who's innocent and trying to figure out the actual criminal in the process. It's really silly, it's really fun, and I adore them to death. So that's like my favorite series. I'm a really huge fan of story-oriented kind of games. Hilariously enough, I haven't played a ton of like JRPGs, I know. It's just mostly been a time factor. I played like the 2 Kingdom Hearts games, the only 2 that I have time to play. There's way too many. I never really got huge into Final Fantasy, mostly because I would watch my brother play the Final Fantasy games, so I didn't really play them much myself. And nowadays, it's just because they are so long and lengthy that I don't have a lot of time to do them. Except I did play Tales of Graces, but that doesn't count because I was playing with 3 other people, and that was like a group game. Gosh, I could do like 5 episodes about Tales of Graces. What I'm going with this is, so another favorite series of mine, not really a trilogy. A favorite trilogy of mine is the Mass Effect series. I'm kind of a BioWare junkie a little bit. I haven't played like every single one of their games, but I like almost all of their games. Sadly, I have not finished Dragon Age, not even number 1. I know, it's terrible because it's right up my alley. It was a time thing. Part of the reason was I started playing Dragon Age 1 as a rogue, and I found out you really can't play Dragon Age 1 as a rogue because everyone hates you. So I've been playing as a mage and trying to get through it, but again, time, so I haven't really finished it, because I really want to play number 3, because number 3 looks awesome! So, and I know number 2 I'll get done in like 10 seconds flat, so I just need to get through number 1, and which is good, I just need to find time to finish it, because it's a bit more of a hardcore RPG. Anyway, I was talking about Mass Effect. I adore Mass Effect. I watched my brother play bits and pieces of it and fell in love with it. Although, I guess I should go back further as to why I fell in love with Mass Effect. I was a huge KOTOR fan. For those who don't know, that stands for Knights of the Old Republic. The first one by BioWare. The second one wasn't really made by BioWare, technically. I played that game when I was 13. Funny story about that. It was my first true rated T game because my mom didn't really implement huge rules, but as far as gaming goes, but if I pushed it, she would have let me, but I didn't really push being able to play rated T games until I was 13, because I wasn't a huge gamer as a child, my brother was, so I just kind of let it go. But my brother got to play rated T games all he wanted. I also, to be fair, it wasn't technically my first rated T game. First rated T game was technically Dynasty Warriors, but that's a whole other story. When I turned 13, it was going to be a huge deal because basically I was allowed to play whatever rated T game I wanted without my mom, you know, without really having to ask my mom or have her worry about it. So I had to make sure I picked a good one. And so I remembered that I remembered watching my brother play KOTOR, and I kind of was with her through the entire thing. So I already really knew this. I already kind of knew the story already. I knew the twist and stuff like that. But I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the whole game and stuff like that. And so it was my first game, and I just head over heels for it the entire time. The main reason I loved it so much, and I feel like I keep going backtracking, but so I probably should have started actually talking about my tabletop experience, because that's why I fell in love with KOTOR. For those of you who don't know, KOTOR is based off of Star Wars Saga, the tabletop edition. Not the newest editions, but one of the earlier editions. And so I played tabletop before I really got into video games, and so I was very at home when I started KOTOR. I was very familiar with the kind of concepts they were doing. You know, I was already familiar with the idea of, you know, your stats, your skill set, choosing them, what kind of character you want to make, what do those mean, what the heck is charisma, you know, all that kind of stuff. And so I felt very comfortable. The main thing I loved about KOTOR was finding out people's stories. I loved talking to the characters. I would do missions, and then I would go back on the ship, and I would just go around and, like you're supposed to, go around and talk to everybody on the ship. That was like the thing I looked forward to the most whenever I played that game. It's hilarious because the way the conversations work in that game, you're meant to be able to talk to those people while you're like on the road. It's especially egregious in Dragon Age because they'll say things, oh, we should get back to the adventure. And I'm like, we're in camp, dude. It doesn't really matter, because I do the same things I did the same things in Mass Effect and Dragon Age. And so I just fell in love with you talking about their stories and having these conversations with them, because that's what I did in tabletop, and I'm a really social person, so even though it's totally simulated and fake, I loved that. I just loved listening to people's stories, and it just was so cool. And so when Mass Effect came around and I heard it was by the same people, I got super geeked, and so I was like, I have to play this. And to be fair, I also got into it because Carth was like my first video game crush, mostly because of the voice actor. I love Raphael Sbarge, I don't know how to pronounce his name. I love his voice. I adore his voice. And so when I heard Kaidan's character in Mass Effect, I went, is that the same guy? And my brother didn't believe me.
2 miles.
Yes, thank you. My brother didn't believe me at first. He's like, no, it's not Carth's voice. I was like, it sounds the same, because this is like 5 years later, and I still remembered it. And I looked it up, and yes, it was totally the same. So I was right. Ha ha. It's hilarious because in Mass Effect, I tried to romance Kaidan, but his character was kind of boring. And I know, I'm sure Carth was not that exciting too, but I was young and naive, and so I was still in love with them at the time. No, I just fell in love with the Mass Effect series and everything about it, the space drama, and loved it. Yes, for those who want to know, the third game was semi-disappointing. Thankfully, I didn't really get to play number 3 until after the patch for redoing the ending happened, which I'm really glad about, because some of the things they fixed, I know I would have been like, excuse me? What? You know, because I didn't realize how many holes it had until someone explained to me, no, they didn't even include this aspect, you know, in the original. And what? How? You know, and so I feel really terrible about all that kind of stuff. But to be honest, that ending did not really impact the way I felt about that trilogy, especially the third game. Everything up until the last 10 minutes is so solid, and I just kind of don't think about the last 10 minutes of that game. Everything up until that point is just so, it's grand and wonderful. And the same with KOTOR too. Well, KOTOR's ending was good. The ending of KOTOR number 1 was fine. There was no problems with it. I mean, there were 2 endings, light side and dark side, right? I just love the story of KOTOR, and I don't know how much to say. I don't know if KOTOR is one of those like actual Star Wars, you know, Luke, I am your father spoiler, but I guess I'll say it anyway. Spoiler alert, if you really want to play KOTOR and you haven't, you should go find it. It's on Steam. It's a really old game, so it's a little wonky, but it's really good. Anyway, spoiler alert, your character, was a Dark Lord of the Sith. You were Darth Revan. But you lost your memory because of some stuff, and so you get to choose whether you want to go down that path or not. And so that whole redemption story is super cool. I love it. So Mass Effect, all the talking, all the chit-chatter, I adore it. I also really liked Jade Empire. That was another kind of original IP of BioWare. Kind of racist, I guess, if you think about it, but super, super fun. I love the battle system of Jade Empire. I wish more games had that simple battle system. I know there were, but the main thing is you could jump around like a freaking martial artist. It was awesome. I could actually dodge attacks, because I always play, and I'll explain this when I do my episode or 3 on tabletop, but I always like playing roguelike characters, you know, strike.
Half a mile.
Thank you.
Continue on the current road.
Gertrude! Strike fast, hard, retreat. Strike fast, hard, retreat. I love that kind of style, but it's really hard in video games to do that because most of the ways they just play it is, oh, can you roll this check to do a evasion? And that's not fun because you don't even do that much damage. So you don't really get to feel that powerful. But in Jade Empire, you could like jump and leap around it. It was skill and it was fantastic. I loved it. So, you know, Jade Empire is also really cool. I mostly talked about BioWare games in this episode. Oops, and we're once again on overtime. Yay! I'm still not close to getting home. That's okay. This traffic's at least a little bit better than it was on the other highway, so we're getting there. Yep.
Continue on the current road.
Gertrude, GPS, whatever your name is. Navi. Yeah, Navi. I basically made a Navi joke in one of my past videos. If you didn't get that, I'm sorry. I am really overtime, so thank you guys for watching. This will probably be my last sequence of videos for today. Have a wonderful, fantastic day. I hope something amazing happens to you. I hope something amazing happens to you every day. And without further ado, I hopefully will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye!